Hello everyone. Hope all are doing great. Welcome back to my lecture series on ecosystem. Our today's topic for study is function of an ecosystem. I am Dr. Prerna, Assistant Professor at All India Shri Shivaji Memorial Society, College of Hotel Management and Catering Technology, Pune. This topic is covered under BSc Hospitality Studies, second year, course HS307, Environment Science 1, chapter Ecosystem. Course outcome are establish the importance of environmental issues, provide insights on environment management in hospitality industry, understand the benefits of eco-friendly practices to have a sustainable environment in daily operations of hotel. Learning outcomes for today's sessions are understand the functions of ecosystem and learn the concept of food chain and food web. Let's begin with the session. Function of an ecosystem. The function of an ecosystem is related to the cycling of material, that is matter, and flow of energy. Ecological processes support life system and render stability. The ecosystem regulates the essential ecological processes, support life system and render stability. It is also responsible for the cycling of nutrients between biotic and abiotic components. It maintains a balance among the various trophic levels in ecosystem. It cycles the minerals through the biosphere. The abiotic component help in the synthesis of organic component that involve the exchange of energy. Functions of ecosystem are of three types. First, primary function. The producer, plant, can make their food themselves through photosynthesis process. This process is called primary function of ecosystem. Example, all green plants and trees. Second type is secondary function. The consumer, animal and human, cannot make their own food. They are always depending upon the producer for their energy. This is called secondary function of ecosystem. The third type is tertiary function, that is decomposers. Decomposers attack the dead body of consumer and producer and decomposes them into simpler compound. Example for tertiary function are microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. The functioning of an ecosystem may be understood by studying the following terms. Food chains, food webs, food pyramids or energy pyramids, and energy and material flow. In this video, we are going to study the first two concepts, that are food chains and food web. Food chain. All living organisms need energy for doing any biological work, such as growing, moving, reproducing and maintaining themselves. That energy comes from food. How does any organism get its food? The only way is to eat another organism. An insect is eaten by a frog. The frog becomes food for the snake, and the swooping hawk consumes the snake, and it goes on. So, the food chain is just a sequence of organisms in which each of the food for the next. Anything which we eat to live is called food. Food contains energy. Food can be transferred from one organism to other. The process of transfer of food, that is energy, from one organism to a series of organisms is called as food chain. A food chain always starts with a plant life and end with the animal life. Thus, a food chain is a picture or model that shows the flow of energy from autotrophs, that is producer, to the series of organisms in an environment. The sun. Here is the systematic representation of food chain. All the food chains start with the sun. The sun provides energy for plants. In the food chain, the next are producer, herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous, and the last are decomposers. The producers, that means the plant, make their food themselves with the help of sunlight, chlorophyll, water, and air. The consumers, including animals and humans, cannot make their own food. They are always depending upon the producer for their energy. The decomposers are the microorganisms that break down the dead bodies and plants and release nutrients that become part of the soil, which are reused by new plants back to the starting point of the food chain. Here you can see the example that the grasshopper eats the plant, the mice eat the grasshoppers, the snake eat the mice, the eagle eat the snake. When the hawk dies, fungi break down the body down and turn into nutrients. The nutrients along with sun and water cause the grass to grow again. So this entire form the food chain in an ecosystem. The food chain is classified. There are three basic types of food chain are found in a typical ecosystem. They are grazing food chain, detritus food chain, parasite food chain. Under grazing food chain, there are terrestrial food chain, aquatic food chain. In aquatic, there is marine food chain and freshwater food chain. This is the structure of different types of food chain that are available in an ecosystem. Now let us study the different types of food chain, starting with the grazing food chain. Grazing food chain. Grazing food chain start with green plants, producers, and goes to the decomposers food chain or detritus food chain through herbivorous and carnivorous. It has two types, terrestrial food chain and aquatic food chain. Terrestrial food chain. Food chain on land is called terrestrial food chain. Examples of terrestrial food chain are grassland food chain, forest land food chain, and desert land food chain. In grassland food chain, you can see the grasses are eaten by grasshopper, frog eat grasshopper, snake eat frog, and the snake is eaten by the eagle. Forest land food chain, in that green plant that are producers, herbivorous and carnivorous. That means green plant, deer and tiger. They are depend on the herbivorous are depend on producers and the carnivorous are depend on herbivore for the energy. Desert land food chain is an example of terrestrial food chain. In desert land food chain, the desert grasses are the primary producer. Primary consumers are desert cottontail, secondary consumers are desert kit fox, and tertiary consumer are coyote. The sun is the main source of energy which passes from one consumer to another consumer. Let's see the aquatic food chain. This type of food chain is slightly different from terrestrial food chain. It is seen in aquatic water ecosystem. Food chain in water is called aquatic food chain. Examples of aquatic food chain are marine food chain, in that ocean, and freshwater food chain, example ponds, lakes, streams, etc. In marine food chain, the primary producers are seaweeds, the secondary are small fish eaten by large fish, and the tertiary are shark and other animals. In freshwater like ponds, lakes, streams, phytoplankton, then zooplankton, small fish, large fish, and that are eaten by man. Next type of food chain is detritus food chain. Detritus food chain start with dead organic matter, plant and animal, and goes to decomposer through consumer. Detritus food chain independent of solar energy, but they depend on influx of dead matter. Example, dead leaves eaten by woodlouse and that is eaten by blackbird. Next is parasitic food chain. Parasitic food chain operates in many ecosystems. In this food chain, either consumer or producer is parasites and the food passes through smaller organisms. A parasitic food chain involves host-parasite hyperparasites link. In this picture you can see the producers are the tree, herbivores foods eaten by birds, then parasites on herbivores like lice and bugs, and the last is hyperparasites on lice and bugs are bacteria, fungi and actinomycetes. Now let's understand the concept of food web. Food chain overlaps. Since most organisms have more than one item on their menu. Again, an organism could be found on the menu of many other organisms. Thus, we have a complex network of interconnected food chain. Hence, the web is called and the web is created. That is a network. Food web is nothing but a network of food chain. In food web, many food chains are interconnected with different types of organisms are connected at different trophic levels so that there are a number of options of eating and being eaten at each tropical level. In this picture you can see berries are options for butterfly, grasshopper, titmouse and even the green fly. And the web is created from one organism to another organism and their food chains are interconnected with each other. I hope you understand the functions of ecosystem and the concept of food chain and food web. In my next coming video, we are going to see the other two functions of ecosystem, that is ecological pyramid and energy flow. For more reference, you can read this book and visit the website which is mentioned in front of your screen. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more updates on lecture series, and don't forget to attend the quiz. The quiz link is mentioned in description column. Thank you once again.